Hello, gorgeous human beings, and welcome to the channel, the summit of sisterhood, for me, for you, for us. Oh my goodness, I am so grateful for this summit. I'm loving every conversation, every segment, every flavor that each woman is bringing to the table. It just feels like such a rich tapestry of human beings, so many stories, so many backgrounds, so many revelations, breakthroughs, different things that made different people react different ways. Like, it just feels like there's a piece of me in every single one of these women, and I'm so full from hearing these stories. Today, we're bringing someone forward that is so beautiful, so powerful, and I know that it's going to be a big conversation because I feel like we've shared some feelings about about things during our journeys, you know, in the ascension of becoming the one. And so I feel like it's going to be a really powerful conversation for those of you who have any kind of upper limit stuff about what's possible for you. This is another extraordinary human being who gave birth during the channel. And it was so interesting because I will never forget the day where she was like, okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and say it. And we're all like, okay, what is it? And she was like, I'm pregnant. And we're like, oh, congratulations. And she was like, you're like, I am pregnant. And we're like, what do you mean? And she like stood up and she was like 7.5 months pregnant with twins. And she had this huge belly and none of us knew because from the camera up, it was impossible to know. And we were all just like, like, what the heck is going on? And it was just this crazy moment. Like, how did we not know this? How have you hid this? And she's like, well, there's a thing about all that. And I have a feeling we're going to talk about that today. But that was one of my most like iconic moments of the channel. Was like, okay, you know, I'm expecting little cute baby bump, you know, I'm pregnant. Like, how do you get away with not telling people this? This is like double your body weight is in your belly. How does this happen? But you couldn't tell it all. And she was like, I know, nobody really knows. I've been getting away with all of it. And so that was a cool conversation. And I'm excited to talk more about that and go behind the scenes of that and how she's navigated her career after that, because it's been kind of wild. She's had an event just this week. She's been traveling and nailing her career and doing all the things at the same time. So I'm excited to bring this story forward because it's just, again, another completely different segment of the magic of the channel. So without any further ado, so I don't add any more spoilers, Andee love, come on up.
Hi, everyone. All right. There I am. Hi.
Hi.
I will never forget that day of that call. I was like, oh no, like, let me show y'all like my belly. It is here. And I delivered like shortly after that, actually, which is really crazy. It's like wild to look back. Yeah.
None of us could understand.
Yeah. Yeah.
And at this point, we'd been in the channel for a while too. Like, you'd been on the calls, like we'd seen your face, we'd talked to you. This was just like all of a sudden, like, boom.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So why don't we jump into that? Actually, like, I remember that call so distinctly also because you were like, well, there's a reason also I feel like I'm struggling to be out there with all the things, because when your pregnancy pictures came out, like, yeah. I have seen your pregnancy pictures on people's vision board.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. Like, I have seen your pregnancy pictures on many people's vision board.
Yeah.
Like, by the time you did tell people exactly what you kind of thought would happen, kind of happened.
Yeah.
So tell us the things.
Yeah. I mean, I'll take you back to the very beginning because it's actually, and I will just tell everybody that's on and those of you that are watching, I'm going to just share parts of my story today. I'm going to talk a lot about this journey into motherhood, which actually the journey into motherhood and my journey in the channel started within 48 hours of each other. So, so I want to tell that story, and I want to paint a picture of duality, infinite possibility, trusting the body, my coming into wealth, like real wealth, and like what that means. And I'm just going to add a trigger warning for people that are on that know me, that have sat in rooms where I've shared stories. I don't hold back, but I also feel like this stage of my life that I'm in now, I have to tell the truth, like not just for myself, but for the collective. And and for the collective healing. And yeah, so let's just rewind the tape literally and go to that moment of like, why did I keep some of these parts of myself so sacred, and what happened in the process? And so it was actually September 30th of 2021, and I was in Hawaii leading a retreat, and I was closing out a chapter that was one of the most difficult. I didn't realize it then, but boy, oh boy, the stories I could tell. And so I was actually sitting underneath a tree, and we were creating these accolades with this beautiful woman who I've known, who's native to the Hawaiian Islands. And we were weaving flowers, and she said, pick colors that like represent something to you. And so I picked purple, yellow, and white. And then I had some greenery, and I was like, okay, the purple is for like royalty, abundance, like reminding myself that like I can desire luxury, and that's okay. And the white is to keep me connected to God, like to always remember my purpose in God, in source and contribution. And that even if I desire the riches, that I can still be rooted in like the impact of giving back, because that's something very important to me. And then the yellow was to remember my personal power, and the green represented money. So there's a difference for me between like luxurious living and like actual cash money. So I'm weaving, and I got this hit. Go inside your cabin, like your little like room where you're staying, which made no sense. I'm facilitating a retreat now, mind you, like I'm under this tree with my clients, my team is there, and I just got up and I bolted. And you were going live, okay? And I was like, this makes no sense, but I need to see what is happening right now. I just had this hit in the core of my stomach. And the people who know me know that like when I get a hit, I don't question it. So I go in, I start listening. We have like the worst Wi-Fi service, and like there's no cell service. So you are choppy, and I'm like, what is that? Like, what is happening right now? She's in a towel, like she's got no makeup on. Like, what is she saying? I've got my phone in the air. You know, it's like you're like holding the phone up in the air, like, I heard bits and pieces. I messaged your team. I was like, I'm not sure 100% what she's saying. Can you send me a link? And I just looked at my husband. I'm like, I'm about to do probably one of the craziest things. He's like, well, what is it? I'm like, well, I'm not really sure. One, because she doesn't know, but two, because she's so glitchy right now that like, but I just know. And he looked at me and he fist pumped me. I will never forget this. And he's like, all right, your body knows your body's never wrong. So I think I was like one of the first few people to jump into the channel because like, it was in like 15 minutes of you like talking about it. I was like, I'm in. I don't really know what's going on right now. That's fine. I had missed like half the program. I had been traveling and retreating. And so later that day, I said to my team, let's do something crazy. We totally flipped the script on the retreat. I said, let's drive up to the top of Haleakala. We were in Maui. Let's watch the sunset. We're just going to scrap the rest of the day. Like, I don't know, there's something magical happening. So at this point, we drive, we go up to this mountain. There's all sorts of crazy stuff that happened on the way there. Like every obstacle you could imagine, like pure craziness. We are driving through rainbows, like full arched rainbows, like across the highway. And I am entering into a portal right now. Like, I don't know what is happening. I don't know what I just made an investment. I don't even know what I made an investment in. I don't know if I'm making the dumbest decision or the greatest decision of my life. And in the midst of all of that, RJ and I had been trying to get pregnant, my husband, for about 2 years. And we had made the decision that at the end of 2021, if we hadn't conceived, that we were going to start to look down the routes of IVF. And I'm older, I'll be 43 in a couple months. And so, you know, there are all these odds, right, that people say are against us. You've waited too long. You're too focused on your career, blah, 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 right? I don't subscribe to any of that. So I was like, look, we're going to give it till the end of this year, and then we can revisit the conversation. But man, when I was driving through those rainbows, I'm like, I just signed up for something that's going to change my life. And I'm going to have babies. Like there's babies. I knew I was having twins. I had known months before that, but
I have chills in my cheeks.
literally, we get to the top of this volcano Still no cell service, still no clue what I've signed up for. Like, no idea what the rest of your video said. No idea when I was actually going to be able to watch the rest of the live to see if you even told us any other details. I was like transferring money with my phone in the air, trying to like move money from one account to the other. Like, told my husband, you might have to drive into town and do this for me, because I was not terrified, but like slightly terrified that I was going to not get my spot if there was like limited spots, and like, but it was just this knowing. So we drive up to the top of this thing. The sun is setting. We've drove through all these portals of rainbows. I literally was screaming, we're driving through. My clients are like, what the hell? I told no one either about signing up. No one. My team was all like, is everything okay? Where did you go? You disappeared. You ran off. I was like, I can't tell you right now. Just know that our lives are all about to change. So we're on the top of this volcano. We're watching the sunset, and I pull my phone out to take a picture. And all of a sudden I hit a spot of cell service, and I'm getting like cash, like Stripe notifications, like as if somebody like blasted out sales links of mine, like logically makes zero sense. Generated probably 50K in cash in a matter of hours with no service, blew past our first 100K cash month as a company. And I'm like, what did I just sign up for? Like, what did I just open myself up to the possibilities for? So that's the beginning. The next day, I take a pregnancy test after taking 6 that were all negative this whole trip. And I'm just like, this is it. I'm pregnant. Positive pregnancy test. Now,
Oh my God.
no, I'm like, okay. So let's just say that sometimes, oh, here's my belief. I believe that there are multiple timelines, and this is my belief, y'all. This is just my belief. I believe there are multiple timelines happening simultaneously for our lives, and that we make decisions in every moment. We can move between timelines, and there's no right or wrong decision. And we don't manifest bad things. We don't even manifest great things. We just make decisions in the moment, and in those moments, we're a match for what's happening. And in any moment, we have the power to be a match for something else, and a match for something else, and a match for something else, and a match for something else. And if we were on for 10 hours, I could tell all of the story, but I'm telling you guys the Cliff Notes version because it gets really big. And so we find out we're pregnant. I knew it was twins. I hit this first 100K cash month. Well, it was, a little over 100K cash month in my business for the first time. I make this investment with you. I hadn't even really, I don't want to say I hadn't known you that long. I had known who you were, but like, I was not looking for a mentor. I was not looking to invest in coaching. I had zero desire to be in a community with women. Zero desire. I wasn't looking for friends. I wasn't looking for sisters. I was definitely not looking for people to share my heart with. I wasn't looking for someone to teach me business. I didn't need business strategy. I don't know. I don't know. But here's what happened. We come back from Maui. We extended our trip. We like celebrated all the things. We come back from Maui, and I end up leading this massive event, like 6 weeks later, 7 weeks later, super pregnant, really sick, and kind of knowing something was about to come. And I was like, all right, this is my chance to really embody everything that I teach. So I've been teaching embodiment work, somatics. I was a therapist before I was a coach. Like, this has been my life for the last 20 years, like very much immersed in the world of somatics and energetics and embodiment. And the pregnancy was really challenging the first couple months. And I'm like reading all the pregnancy books, and we're like, oh, the first trimester is hard, and all these things. So we find out at the end of November. So at this point in the pregnancy, nobody knows. Like a few of my team members know, but like nobody knows. And part of that was to just keep the energy really sacred for myself. But the other part was that like, there was this, I knew there was something I needed to protect, and I didn't know what that was. So we go in, into our ultrasound at the end of November. So now this week, at this point, we're like 3-ish months pregnant. And they put the thing on my stomach, and they're like, they pull it off right away. The woman pulls it off right away. And she's like, what did they tell you at your first ultrasound? So, okay, if you're an ultrasound tech, never ask somebody that question, because immediately I'm in like
Shock, panic,
total.
Period.
Like, what do you mean? I'm like, they said I was pregnant. I had one viable baby. I told them there were two. They told me there was one. She's like, she puts the thing back down and she's like, well, there is at least two. And I'm like, I look up, my husband and I are looking at each other and there are two babies, like two babies. I'm like, now I have had ultrasounds. I have my ultrasound images from the beginning. There is one baby. So she's like, this is going to take longer. So at this point now I'm full on freaking out. I'm also like, this makes sense why I'm so sick, why I'm so tired. Okay, great. First trimester will get better after this, you know. And then they say, we need to bring this doctor in to see you. We need to talk to you about the pregnancy. So of course, now I'm like in full blown panics. And they said to me, you're carrying twins. It's a monodi pregnancy, which means that your body has only created one placenta for both babies. You're also over age. You're gestational. I'm like, thank you so much. I look 27, but I'm gestational. Thank you. So I'm gestational. I'm a geriatric, not gestational. I'm geriatric. I'm a geriatric pregnancy. Yes. Sorry. I said gestational. I'm a geriatric pregnancy because I'm old, which is just so ridiculous. So any of you out there that want to get pregnant and you're older, like just don't listen to anybody that says that you can't, because you can. And they said it's high risk. It's high risk because of your age. It's high risk because of your size. So I'm 102 pounds and 5'1", like I'm tiny. You know, these pregnancies, what can happen is that one baby can be a donor, one baby can be the recipient. One can pass away and it can jeopardize the other's lives. We're going to have to monitor you very closely. We're going to have to make sure that your body is equipped to actually have a placenta that grows large enough, again, because of my size. And I'm like, well, you don't know who you're talking to right now, that the placenta can actually grow to the size that it needs, or can actually nourish them in the way that it needs to. And, we also have to make sure that their membranes stay balanced, and one baby can actually get much bigger than the other. And we have to look at things like uterine growth restriction. So like, this is what they're saying to me, and my face looks like your face. Like, what? Okay. And immediately I was like, I can't really tell anybody I'm pregnant, because if I do, and then they know what kind of pregnancy it is, and they know all these pieces, I'm going to get inundated with everybody's thoughts, opinions, feelings, projections. And I don't know if I can hold it. So we did do a pregnancy announcement, but it was like rainbows and unicorns, like, oh, it's great. I mean, so much so that like, we didn't even disclose all of the stuff that we were carrying to our families. And you know, my bestest of friends, my team members, like nobody really knew. It was my husband and I was like, look, we have to have each other through this, because like, this is all we got. And these babies have to come into this world. And so that was like this moment where I'm like, okay, I have to be the embodiment of everything I teach. And what a lot of the women in the channel don't know is that being in the channel was like that thing. It was like, I had those calls I got to look forward to. I got to get on, I got to listen, I got to plug into. It was like my place to come and just be normal. And I didn't have to necessarily fake it. Even if nobody really knew I was pregnant in there till the very end, like I would go into the group sometimes and be like, you guys just send me some love. I need love right now. And it was like, love, 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 love. We got you. We got you. We got you. I don't even have to tell you what's wrong. I can just say, I need it. And like, you're there. So it was very safe. It was very safe for me, because a lot of the communities that I have wanted to enter into, a lot of the mentorship communities that I have wanted to enter into in the past, they've been filled with my clients. And so it's like, where do I go to find the space to be held? Like, where do I go to find the space where like I can fall apart and then not be judged for falling apart? Like, where can I go when I'm having a meltdown and not worry that my clients are going to be in that space and then think like, oh, she can't hold me because she's melting down. And when you have a successful business and a successful community that, whether you want them to or not, puts you on a pedestal, it's really hard to find the spaces that you can go into and say like, I need someone right now. And so the pregnancy was really hard, and I ended up with 3 broken ribs. I was in and out of the hospital. It was very taxing on my body. And about February-ish March, I was hit with the most intense abusive online bullying. And I know that you understand that. And we ended up in labor and delivery. I was about 29 weeks, and the doctor said, whatever's happening in your life right now that's creating stress, like, needs to be eliminated, because you can deliver at 29 weeks. But my baby B, my Virgil, was still under a pound. And they were like, we need to get his weight up. You need to really, you need to really like check whatever's going on in your life. And so it's like, all right, this is it. Like, this is that moment for me of saying, like, what do I need? Like, what brings me into harmony? What is like real, true wealth? And so I just started becoming my own client. And I've always been my own client, like always. I've always been my own client in the work that I do, but I was like, it's freaking go time. And I've never spent so much time in my body, like literally, truly in my body, as I did that last probably 7 months. I mean, really the whole pregnancy, but the last like 6, 7 months, it was like, I'm living for these boys. And not only that, but I'm living through this experience because there's going to be a story to tell on the other side. And so I went into my doctor's office the Monday after that emergency room or that labor and delivery visit, one of many. And she said, listen, I want you to take your birth plan and throw it out the window, because we got to get real creative now. And I want you to just get into all of the things that you desire for this pregnancy, for the rest of it, for your birth story, for your delivery, for everything. And so that's exactly what I did. I was like, okay, here's what's happening right now. We're cultivating the internal experience and everything that I know to be true. And I am like, I would call myself I don't really use the word manifest, I'm a generator in human design, but I don't use the word manifestor very much in my life. I'm a co-creator because I believe that everything I do is in action with God. Like, God will give me a nudge and then I choose to follow or not. God leads me, I choose to go or not. And so I really like to use the word co-creator, but I am a powerful co-creator, and I have co-created some of the wildest things in my life. And I was like, this is my opportunity to say, what is the internal frequency that I need in my body right now? How do I work with my own nervous system to cultivate the internal experience so that regardless of what's happening in my external environment, I've got me. And so this was this like culminating moment for me in my life to say, like, everything that I teach my clients, everything I've done, everything that I've done to create what I've created, now I get to do to create life. And their lives get imprinted with this energy now. And they're attuning to me right now. So how do I what is the energy I need to be in? And so on May 11th of 2022, we went in for a doctor's appointment and they said, we need to go. It's go time. The boys I was just about 35 weeks at that point. So I'd made it to like a real good spot to be in. And they said, I wanted the water birth at home and all the things, right? It's like, yeah, that's out the window. But it didn't even matter. I was a C-section. My delivery was via C-section. We filmed the whole thing. I got my playlist. I had my crystals. I had my lavender soaked washcloths. I had my fan. I had my doula. I had my husband. Crazy. I only took the spinal. I took no narcotics, no pain medicine, no anti-anxieties. I was totally present. It was the most intense thing that I've ever done in my entire life. And for any woman who's ever given birth, or for any woman who's ever gone through a C-section, to do all of that unmedicated in the way that I did it is absolutely unfreaking heard of. And the doctors were like, what do you do for a living? Like, you need to tell your story. Women need to hear what you have to say, because a lot of people resist these medical hospital births because they're not always the way that they want them. And you have just curated something that we have never seen before. And I said, I have me here. And when I have me here, it doesn't matter what's going on in the external environment. It doesn't matter if I'm getting bullied online. It doesn't matter what people are saying. It doesn't matter if I'm getting threats against my children that aren't even born yet via email and via text message, and people are posting things about me on social media that aren't true. And like, none of that matters. And there's something really potent that can happen. I did see it, Shilamita. Sorry, I just saw Shilamita's comment. I shouldn't look at the chat, but something white just flew by. I did see it. So I'm glad someone else caught it. But when you have you, like truly here, then like you co-create whatever you want on the outside. And even if it's like, this is when you talk about like circumstantial power. It's like my circumstances just don't dictate my life anymore. And when you're laying on a hospital bed, getting cut open and then waiting for your children to breathe when they're not breathing, and then knowing that you don't get to touch them, and then they were separated for 12 days, and you can stand in your power with that, even when people are attacking you online, something shifts. And so it's like, it'll be on 11/11, it'll be 18 months. And I am like, I am waiting for those freaking pineapples, Melanie, because I am telling you something on 11/11 of this year will be their 18-month birthday. And it'll be 18 months since I have found this woman that I am right here in this chair, like talking to you today. Like I am not the same person. Like I'm not the same woman. You can't be the same woman going through something like that. And so when I titled this talk, it was like nervous system wealth and the subtle art of somatics. And like, that's what it is for me. It's like wealth begins in the internal frequency of who I am and in the power of my presence in the present moment, period. And who I am right now is not even who I was when this call started 30 minutes ago. And who I am in 5 minutes from now will not be who I was 5 minutes prior. And so for me, it's like, everything is just in this moment. We all have the power to choose in this moment. And when we can show up in the full essence of who we are and give ourselves permission to just be that, it literally doesn't matter what's happening outside of you.
Ay. And this is my first time hearing the full sequence, like and I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is the thing that most people will try to avoid with all of their might, ever having to ever be in a situation like the situation that you were in. Like they will do anything they can.
Yep.
They will try to stop the body sensation. They will stop it. They will stop it. They will say, no, just, I can't, I break down, I quit, I can't, I won't, I can't. In order to get this far in the story, you have to have the courage to hear that there may be something wrong in the pregnancy and say, we're still going to do it.
Yep.
Know that everybody that would ever hear about it would have an opinion about it and decide to do it alone. Know that you're at it alone, and that anybody that you would actually need could give you the wrong advice. And so it's better to keep it alone even when you need support, and ask for support incognito, just so you feel the love and the vibes without even telling people what you need. Then you've got to make the decision that no matter what's happening, you've got to set it aside, even though it's your livelihood and your entire future depends on it. That's got to go on hold so that this pregnancy can go. Like the amount of times people would have said, I just can't, that you said, well, I just did.
Yeah.
It's like, that is what sets apart when a person says, like, how does someone do something like that? It's one decision at a time.
Yes.
In that one decision where you could have said, okay, then it's best that we don't do this, or let's tell everybody, or like one decision at a time, one decision at a time, one decision at a time. And you created this from the decision that you made time after time after time after time after time after time. This is extraordinary.
Stackable moments. I mean, I say this all the time. Like I'll have clients come to me and they say, I want a quantum leap. I want to collapse time. And I'm like, we quantum leap in the stackable moments. The quantum leap isn't something that happens overnight because you went like this. The quantum leap is like, what are you doing moment by moment, by moment, by moment, by moment, by moment, by moment? Like that's how we quantum leap. And for me, being somebody who's in the world of somatics, I do a lot of research. So like I am very much in the research of embodiment and how we can actually shift our nervous system. Like, yes, we can do mindset work, and mindset work is amazing and it's a big piece of it. But if the mind thinks one thing and the body feels something else, it's totally neutralizes itself out. So I was like, I can't tell myself in this pregnancy, all is well, when all doesn't feel well in my body. But if I can honor that all doesn't feel well in my body and hold myself through that, then I can start to create the all is well, right? And so the research and the science right now is showing, and there's a lot of variations of this online, but the real research, like the actual research that I'm reading, like that's the real deal research, is showing right now that after about 300 repetitions of a new like somatic movement or feeling that we start to create a new pattern in the nervous system, but it takes 3,000 repetitions to create a new neuronal memory actually in the body. 3,000 repetitions is a lot of repetitions. If you're only doing that one time a day, you're talking about 3,000 days. If you're doing it 1 hour a day, you're talking about like 10 years. But if you're doing it moment by moment by moment by moment, that's how you collapse time. Like that's where the quantum leaps come from. And so when I look at the pregnancy, I'm like, holy shit, like I collapsed so much time in the most difficult phase of my life. And then we're not even talking like the postpartum phase, because like that is a whole nother beast. But it's like just the decision to say, like, be present in this moment, no matter what, even if, even when, no matter what. And I think a lot of times our natural instinct is to say, this is hard, bounce, let me get out. And when you have 2 children in your being, you don't get to just bounce. And so it was like, okay, Andee love, like, how much do you believe in what you teach? Because this is your opportunity to not just be the embodiment of it, but to really be the embodiment of it. And then to come out on the other side and be able to tell the story. And I've not shared the story very much because there's also the fear of like, do I create shame? Do I trigger people? Do I whatever, like fill in the blank, right? And I'm at this point now where it's like, I need to tell the truth. I need to tell the truth. And the truth is that we are powerful, powerful beings, no matter what our circumstances are, no matter what has happened to us, no matter what trauma we carry, what wounds we carry, what's happening in our external environment, how much money's in our bank account or not in our bank account. Like none of that matters. Like we literally have the ability to not only rework our brains, but we have the ability to actually reprogram our nervous systems and not just for us, but for our past lineage and for everything that is moving forward. And so as I do this work now, like I watch it impact my family. And I also know it impacts, those who have passed. And it definitely impacts my boys moving forward in the lives that they'll live. Like it's unbelievable.
I also think a lot of people feel that a quantum leap is just what a person experiences instead of understanding that every single thing that you affect in life affects everything. And so a quantum leap also looks like we talk about dinosaurs, but we don't experience the time that passed, but we know it was there. We don't experience it when we talk about it in the past, but we know it was there.
Right.
A quantum leap is the fact that you can talk about the day that you're done on this planet, but you don't know when it is, but you can talk about it knowing it will happen. And there'll be a day that you're there and you'll remember having talked about it. And that time will have gone and you won't be able to feel that time anymore.
Right.
For me, the most beautiful visual for quantum leap is the microwave. Quantum leaps are microwaves.
Yep.
If you put something in the microwave and it's the wrong thing, it blows up. Same thing for a quantum leap. If you put something in the microwave, it doesn't just go hot. It's just the longer it's in there, the faster and the hotter it gets, very fast. That's what a quantum leap is. It's collapsing time around microwaves that just look like they've changed things at warp speed. They've altered the temperature, they've altered the cells, they've altered in microwaves at warp speed. And that's what a quantum leap really is. You put your life in the microwave. And if you put the wrong thing in the microwave, it blows up. And if you put the right thing in the microwave, you get popcorn. It just kind of depends what you put in the microwave.
Right. Yeah.
What I love about this whole story is that every step of the way, there was this faith. And I wonder sometimes, when we don't trust the faith, when we don't do it, when it's not everything is riding on it, let's say you never trust faith because you don't have to. And so you see me show up on a Facebook Live with a towel on my head and you say, well, I don't need this. I don't need a mentor. I don't need a thing. I would need to know exactly what it is. Maybe after she explains all the details, I can't even hear what she's saying. Let me think about it. Let me wait. And you don't make the move. And then maybe the payments come in the same way, but they don't mean anything now. They don't mean I made the best decision of my life. They mean I'm in Hawaii. This must be a great place for me. They mean completely different things. The next day you get pregnant and you're like, oh my gosh, we're pregnant. There's no meaning there either. Right. And so when you have faith in really crazy times in your life, the power of it, and this is what I found for me, is that you then create meaning that gives you ultimate power. Because then what happens is you say yes to something, and then the payments come, and then you find out you're pregnant, and all of a sudden your belief in your intuition has changed. And when it's time to make a big decision, one where you would maybe need evidence inside that you've made a good move before that you could trust, you've got them in your back pocket, because you say, I've made moves that I didn't know how I was going to make it happen. And look what happened for me. I got me, I trust me. And so it's so important to make moves on faith before you need them to work.
Yes.
What I love about what you said is I did not need a mentor. I did not need a new friends group. I did not need at that time. I didn't think I needed any of it. And I still went for it.
Yep.
Those are some of the biggest moments in life, because then when you do need your intuition, you've got so much evidence of when it worked for you.
Yep. And it was like, I was just like, my body knows. And my body, and this is the thing, how many moves in my life have I made because my body knew? So in that moment, I didn't have to question it because the evidence was already there. My body knew. And boy, oh boy, did my body know, because I needed this group more than ever for the last 2 years. And the fact that this extended on an extra year makes so much, like, no sense and so much sense. Because if this conversation between you and I would have been happening a year ago, I would not have been ready to tell this story at all. And who I am now, isn't who I like. It's just, it's so funny. My team and I, we laugh of like, wow, like, gosh, did you know what you were doing when you said yes to the channel? Because when I said yes to the channel, and then when I told them, I was like, I don't know. Like, I don't know what it is. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what's on the other side. And it didn't even matter, because that's not even what it was about. It was just like, my body knows. And when my body knows, I move. And now here I am able to have this conversation with you and hopefully impact at least one person's life through the story, or inspire them to move or to take action, or know they can do it, or to see themselves as a powerful portal, or whatever it is, or to know that like they create what they want from the inside. Like, and I wouldn't have done that a year ago. And I definitely wouldn't be able to sit here today and do that if I wouldn't have said yes. So it's just, it's like, you gotta trust the nudges.
You have to. So what happens after you have the babies? They have to be split for 12 days.
So the boys were split for 12 days. They spent 21 days in the NICU. And, you know, it's so interesting because you think nothing will prepare you for that. And I was never more prepared than I could have ever been in my entire life. Like, I go back, like last night I was going back and I was watching. So after they left, so they were born through C-section, and they both immediately had to go off to the NICU. And so I didn't get to hold them right away, but I said to my husband, like, go, like, I need you to go, and I need you to like be with the babies. And here I am, like completely cut open on the table. And he's like, but I'm like, look, I'm good. Like, I've got me. I am so good. Like, you go be with them. You go be with them, and I will come when I am ready to come. Like, when they let me, when I get the green light, like, but I want you to go be with them. And so he filmed everything for me. So he filmed, like, I mean, he was in when they were like doing all the things. And so I haven't watched all of the videos yet, because there's so many, because he's, you know, he filmed literally hours of everything. And so I was watching some of them last night, and I'm just like, you know, like sometimes I'll say to my therapist, like, I don't feel numb to it. And it's not that I don't cry, I cry. But I'm so present in the experience, and I can hold it and I can feel it, that like, I don't know, like, you think nothing would prepare you, but like, I was prepared. Like, I was prepared. Like, I was prepared through this work of embodiment. Like, I was prepared through the art of somatics. Like, I was prepared through being able to like hold myself, even when it was hard, even when it was scary, even when I didn't know what the hell was going on. Like, I was melting down. I cried. I was overwhelmed. I was having all the experiences, but like, I was prepared to hold myself through that because I've got me. And like, the emotion of life doesn't terrify me like it used to. So it's just, I don't know. I'm just I'm just a different person. And so
You
then
are. I feel that.
when I look at my business, I'm like, anyone can do or say, I don't know. It doesn't define who I am anymore. And that's a really powerful place to be, because for a long time, it was like my worth was tied up in if I'm liked or loved. And now it's like, I'm liked or loved by myself, and there's no greater gift. And I'm so activated in my own power that I don't need somebody else to validate my worth in order to feel good about myself, because I feel that now. And that's like, man, when I was sitting under that tree, weaving that flower crown with all those intentions set into it, like I had no idea that like, this is what I was creating, and like transferring money and saying yes to you and joining this channel. And then like sitting quietly on the sidelines for almost 2 years and being like, I love these women and they're my sister, and they don't need to even know anything about me because I know they love me, even if I don't comment or I don't unmute and ask a question, or like, where do you find that? Like, where does something like that even exist? Like, and then I'm like watching everyone talk in these interviews, and like, I've had some of these women join my programs and I've worked with some of them, and some of them have been past clients of mine, and we've landed in your world years later together. And I'm like, what is this life? And holy shit, if we all just were brave enough to tell the truth and to like just be in the embodiment of who we are, and to let people actually see us and feel us, and like what kind of change that could do for the world. And it's funny that you use the example of a microwave, because I always use this example of like waves and ripples. My husband and I were just having this conversation right now about like how the real peace in the in life, in world, in everything. And I was listening to Rad's topic yesterday around like conflict, is like, it starts with the micro impacts that we have within ourselves, and then within our relationships and within our households. And that's what creates the macro change. And so it's like, people want this macro shift, this quantum leap, but they're not willing to do like the micro work, the little moments. Like, if people don't think that Melanie and Layer isn't doing the little micro moments to get to where you're at, like, y'all are crazy. Like, you got to be able to hold yourself when the shit is the shit. You have to be able to like, and fall apart, but also hold yourself through it. And that like, that requires a certain level of like commitment and devotion to the embodiment of like who we really know we are. So like, yeah, I just don't want to hide anymore. Like I've hid for so long. I'm like, I'm so good at what I do. And there's such a brilliance to the work that I facilitate. And I'm so quiet about it. Like, my audience is so small and my reach is so small, and yet the impact is so large. And I'm hiding for the fear that someone might misunderstand like my wisdom and my genius for what.
What's your human design again?
Okay, I know nothing about human design, which is so funny, but I'm a 4/6 generator. And if there's someone who knows my chart, they can comment more, but I'm a 4/6 generator. And whatever is open on me is like closed on my husband's chart, and vice versa. And like, we kind of like make a full, I don't know. I've had people read me and I'm like, I don't know. Everyone just says to me, you're totally living your design. I'm like, great. If I need to do something different, let me know.
Well, I feel like the beauty of really what it is that the 4/6 design, first of all, is very much about collective and about network and about being with the right people at the right time for the right thing. And it's also about your life is constantly getting better. Like, you are actually in such an initiation until you're about 50, and that's when life starts for you. So it's like, this is the initiation to the role model. The 6th line is the role model. And so it's like everything you're learning right now, every lesson, your 3 line, which is the trial and error line. I have the trial and error line until you're like 30 some. And then you've got this like initiation of understanding the pieces. And then when you get to 50, there's this like, okay, this all makes sense now. And then so you're like, you're right on time. Like, everything is coming.
Good. I'm ready for it. Cause at 50, I'm like, let's bring it, baby.
So tell us this now. When did you go back to work? When did you say, okay, I'm back? Like, how long did it take for you to say, I think I can hold both motherhood and the business? Because that's a huge thing.
Yeah. So I actually took realistically like an entire year off. And I say that even though I was working with clients that I have, I have clients who've been with me for years and they just don't go. And so there was a lot of grace and flexibility and freedom in that. And so I really truly took off about a full year. And in the midst of that year, I did a lot of soul searching and a lot of checking in and saying, what's in harmony for me right now? Like if as I'm this new woman and I'm balancing this new way of being, like, what is it that I actually want in my life? And it required a lot of clearing and clutter, like decluttering. And so I closed down a program that generated multiple millions of dollars. And I closed down another program that generated about almost $1 million in like an 18-month time frame. And so we started with, I came back with, I don't want to say nothing because I still had stuff. I still have clients and, things like that. But I came back in right around May of this year, and said, all right, it's time. Actually, I was back in Maui and I had a really profound vision. And I said, it's time to bring my work to the world in a different way. And so I have been working tirelessly behind the scenes to create a very in-depth body-based certification to bring into the coaching space. And I'm working on some accreditation for that. And I took a pause and I started realizing that the wealth that I want, actually, like the real generational wealth that I'm building for my family, starts with my own nervous system regulation. And when we do nervous system regulation work, when we really do deep nervous system regulation work, it sometimes requires us to close loops on things and to let go of things and to shut doors on things. And that can feel really scary when there's finances tied to that. But my body's never wrong. And so I trusted myself and I allowed myself to take a decent dip in income that would terrify most people. And for me, it just meant that I was moving closer to what I actually want. And now it's just skyrocketing in the most epic way. And it's because it's just full, total alignment. So it took about a full year and, it's great. My husband and I take care of, I was like, I don't want a nanny. I don't want any of that for the first year or two of their life. Not that that's a wrong choice if people make it, but for him and I, we really wanted to just be the ones. And so we are with them 24/7. And when I'm working, he's got them. And when he's working, I've got them. And then we Mondays, let's see, Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays, and Mondays are family days. So I do not do any work Mondays through Friday, however it is. So I only work now Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. And it's amazing.
I'm so happy that this is when we got to do this, when you're able to model something so beautiful. Like, this story is it's magic, it's miracles. And it's like, it was good. It was written in the stars. It couldn't have been written any differently. It's all of it all at the same time.
Yes.
And I feel like this is, again, this idealistic, this is the theme that keeps coming back for me, but it's like, you can have a baby when your body says you can, and you can build a very successful business that generates multi-millions when your body says you can, and you can have deep friendships and deep sisterhood when your body says you can, and you can rely on your partner only when your body says you can, and you can hold a secret when your body says you can. And so if you don't know what your body's saying, how can you know you can do any of those things? And I feel like this year for me was a big year like that. I closed down my Unity mastermind, the people that were in it are in there until the end. And then that's it. My private coaching, I did the same thing. And these are big moves, but the voice inside said, and I said, okay.
Yeah.
And these are big moves, and they're scary moves until you know in your body that they couldn't have been different decisions. And then it's like, that is the right move for me.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I know we're getting to the end of the time. And when I did my call with you back in whenever it was, I had talked about this tape, and it's so funny that it's sitting here. This was not planned, but I talked about, I don't know if you remember this, but this cassette tape from my mom, that my mom had a psychic.
Yes.
So it is so written in the stars, Melanie, because my mom had this psychic reading before I was born, while she was pregnant, not even pregnant with me, before. And she brought me this tape when I was in my 20s. And she said, I want you to listen to this. And the psychic had talked about a daughter, me, for sure, because I'm only her only daughter, and that she was going to have a daughter. And she predicted things in my mom's life. I mean, this is a legit, reading, from the late 70s. What? This is crazy. So, my mom and her cute little like save, with her name on it, brings this to me when I'm in like my 20s and basically says like, I want you to hear this tape because there was stuff about your life predicted. And there's a reason why dad and I like guided you down the certain paths that we did based off of what this psychic said. So I'm like, wow, this lady held a lot of power for your, you. So she brought it back to me and she said, there's more to listen to, but I don't want you to listen to it all now. And she had told me to listen to it. I'm like, it was my 41st birthday. And we had a call right around then. And so I did listen to the rest of the tape. And when you say like parts of our lives are written in the stars, like it is. And I am supposed to share a big message with the world. And so this tape now sits on my desk because it's my reminder that like anytime you second guess what is in store for your life, like just know, like we get to choose the timelines we step into. Like we get to choose, like we have full power to choose. If that doesn't make you guys feel unstoppable, and listen, everything that's happened to us, it's like, it's happened to us. Shift your relationship with the thing, like shift your relationship with the thing. So for me, it's like the wounds, the bullying, the business things that have happened, all of the stuff. It's like, I'm not going to spend hours upon hours upon hours of trying to eradicate those things from my field. They happened, they existed, they are a part of the tapestry of who I am now. But when I can shift my relationship to the pain, to the trauma, to the wounds, to the fears in the pregnancy, to all of those things, and I just accept them for what they are rather than seeing them as something I need to eliminate, then I get to step into like this full vision that was written for me and who I am and the powerhouse that I get to be on this planet years before I was even born. And like, this is the tangible proof. Like, thank God my mother like saved this and gave it to me and was in the woo way back in the 70s when I'm sure my dad was like, what the hell are you doing? But it's just a reminder for me of like, I get to be the embodiment of who I am, even when it's scary. And some people will love me and others won't. And that's okay because I love me. And for the first time in my 40 something years, like I can say that fully grounded, fully embodied, and I believe it. I'm not just saying it, like I really, like I believe it. And that is a freaking great feeling. So I am so glad I ran inside, listened to you in your towel, regardless of what anyone thought, and said yes, and drove through rainbow portals and went through all the crazy shit I went through. Like I wouldn't change it for a second, not any of it, not any of it. And there are women in my life now that like, they'll be in my life forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. And like, how cool is that? Cause like, I don't have a really big group of women like outside of the community I created. So it's nice to like be in another community and have that. So
I'm over the moon. Honestly, this has been such a gift of breaking what anyone could believe is possible and just questioning the limitations. Just change the relationship with the thing, see what happens. Yeah. And I feel like that's such a beautiful way of looking at it. You're such a beautiful example of the story. I'm so glad it came from such a personal experience and you could share it from such an embodied place, because this really is role model at its finest. Like this was quite extraordinary. So thank you for your vulnerability, for your willingness to tell the truth, and for trusting everybody here with their ability to hear it, because that was absolutely flawless. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Not that we need it, but I'm going to read your bio. Okay. I feel like we know you more than this bio will ever give us, but I'm still going to read it. Oh my gosh. I'm so.
All for you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for the space and for holding us all.
It is an honor for me. For the last 23 years, Andee Love has been fully devoted to using her extensive training in somatic experiencing, group facilitation, and private mentorship to bring a different flavor to the coaching world, a body-based methodology. In that time, she has created an epic 7-figure business, center, and brand truly by listening to the language that her body speaks. As the founder of Soul Flow, Embodiment and Body Base, an extensive training program combining her signature work, the business nervous system method, she has made it her mission to redefine how the coaching world is teaching the ways of nervous system regulation, wealth, and co-creation in business. Andee holds a master's degree in transpersonal counseling psychology and is known for her work as a somatic practitioner with a dedicated focus on experiential learning and body-based practices. Whether you're just getting started or have a well-established business, she's here to help you clarify your values, define what success means to you, and magnify your contribution to the world with embodiment, intuition, personal power leading the way. Andee is a new mother to twin boys, Frankie and Virgil, and has never felt more clear about getting this body-based work into the hands of women all over the world.
Like, oh, that's so professional. And I'm just me, y'all. And I'm just me.
You know, I think that's the beautiful thing the summit is showing. It's like you can see a person on the internet, you can read a bio, and you could miss out on everything you got from these women before you knew them and before you heard the bio.
Yeah.
We are not the accolades. We are not the bio. We are not the thing people say makes us good enough. We're the thing that's undeniable. And I feel like this is what this summit is really showing, like, get to know the woman and then celebrate her for what she's done, but love her for who she is first. And if that's the kind of world we lived in, I think it'd be a lot easier for us to figure out that we fit in. But since that's not the world we live in, then let's at least try to have moments like this when we can figure out how to find ourselves in a world that really does applaud achievement over being. Like, how can we make that world better? Even though it exists as it is, like, how can we love ourselves more? How can we respect each other more? How can we be more curious about each other's journeys and not just decide based on a profile picture, a bio, and the way social media looks, whether a person is worthy of attention, of love, of listening? Like, it's so much better than that, so much deeper than that. And what I love about these stories and why they're so powerful is every single one of these people were drawn to the channel for a reason. And the reason it comes clear now. None of us knew what the heck we were doing. And I feel like that is the coolest thing. And I'm so glad I trusted myself, because I knew what I was doing as much as you knew what you were doing. And that was scary for me, because my fifth line does not like putting any reputation at risk. Like, this could not work. Whatever it was that I didn't know what it was, the only thing I knew is it had to work, whatever it was, not even knowing what it was, just knew it had to work. That's a lot of pressure. But I think I'm realizing, speaking to these women and having these conversations with you guys, that the most impactful thing is that this was going to be a leadership container. It was going to be a sisterhood container, and it was going to be a portal for whatever was supposed to be learned. And for some people, it was very hard to learn the lessons. And for some people, it was effortless to learn the lessons. And for some people, the lessons came fast. And for some people, the lessons will come later. But I now believe with every fiber of my being that this channel was a portal to something extraordinary, and that everyone will look back years from now and realize what they went through. And my hope is that those of you who followed the entire sequence with us get to feel that too. So thank you, Andee love. Thank you for such an incredible session. This flew by. I'm like flew by. So good, so captivating, so powerful. Thank you for your story. Ladies, thank you for being with us today. That was 4 calls. Thank you so much for being here. Tomorrow we have some more extraordinary speakers, 3 more calls. It's going to be extraordinary. Please join us again tomorrow for day 10 of the channel. This is going to be crazy good. Once more, 3 whole days left. We've got tomorrow, the day after, and then 2 on the last day. We got this. We got this. We got this. Thank you for everything.
Oh,
and
thank
we'll
you
see you
so much, you all. I love you guys.
We'll see you on the internet.
Bye.
Bye.